Hi, this may be the episode you've been waiting for. It's a discussion of the Bible book of Revelation. Before we get into it, I want to paraphrase a quote from Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning, because I think it has direct relevance to what we'll discuss today. In that quote, and I believe it's on pages 65 to 66 of his book, Man's Search for Meaning, he talks about a time back during World War II when he was a Jewish psychiatrist in a concentration camp in Auschwitz. He said, as he looked out across the concentration camp, he could see men, although very few in number, who were going around comforting others and giving away their last scraps of bread. And he said it was at that point that he realized you could take away everything from a man. And I'm paraphrasing here to say your wealth, your celebrity, your power, your influence, your authority, your money. You can take everything away from a man, but one thing, and that is the power and the ability to choose how to respond in any given situation. And I think that is the test that's described in the book of Revelation. Because as we go into these first few chapters, and this is for the people that are familiar with the book, and I know not everyone is, it's a metaphorical book that at the start of this event in heaven, you have Jesus, and the personage of a lamb is opening a scroll with 7 seals. And each of the first 4 seals releases 4 horsemen who go out and wreak havoc on the earth. And instead of this being a destruction, if you look at it from a wave-based reality standpoint, that we're eternal beings who are coming to earth to learn spiritual, or to evolve spiritually, to learn right from wrong, to learn how to control our emotions, how to control our ego, how to control our thoughts, how to love others in different situations, how to stand up for people in different situations, how to develop moral courage, and to stand up for what you believe to be right. Those I think are the fundamentals that we come to earth to learn. But each of these 4 horsemen go out and they affect pieces of what has been called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And this is the analogy that I'm going to use for this discussion, is that this triangle in the center is something that was created in the 1940s. It's called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And it talks about the different sociological needs that people have in their lives. And it starts out with basic physiological needs of food, shelter, and clothing. And once you've satisfied those needs, you have safety needs, which is protection from war and violence, safety in a home, a place that's comforting to stay in. Then the third need is belonging needs, where you have the need to belong to a family, to a group, to have a life partner, to belong. Then the fourth need is an esteem need, is to be respected for the work that you do and the things that you do. The fifth need is more of a creative self-actualization need, where given all these other things being satisfied, you're able to freely create and do things on your own that could, help other people. But in the book of Revelation, these 4 horsemen that are described in the 4 seals of the scroll go around and, I believe, knock out these lower levels of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Now, these first 3 horses are not named in Revelation. Only the horse of death is named. But I've called them conquest, war, and judgment, because in conquest you have selfishness and aggressiveness and competitiveness that destroys a sense of community and a sense of belonging. Then in the second seal on the scroll is a horseman of war who destroys the safety of people in an area through acts of war, acts of violence. The third horse and horseman is a horse of judgment, which destroys basic physiological needs It takes away food. It takes away shelter. It takes away clothing. And the culmination of the acts of those first three horsemen results in the horse and the horsemen of death, which basically brings about a sense of despair among the people who were living. Now, given all this, where you've lost everything, can you still love other people? And it may even be that your love for other people would be greater than your sense of self-preservation, which is something else we can talk about. I won't discuss here. But think about how strong your love needs to be to overcome all the despair brought about by all these horsemen. And I think this is the test of Revelation. And the people who can still love after having lost everything else are the people who will be harvested, which is the great multitude that you read about in, I believe it's Revelation chapter 6 and chapter 7. That they pass the test of Revelation and they can go on to further spiritual development. That's what I think Revelation's all about. And it has to do with eternal beings, spiritual beings, coming to earth to learn how to mature spiritually. I also think that the world religions do a service here. We'll talk about this more in the conclusions, in that they provide some of the basic instructions and teachings in how we should behave as individuals and as a civilization. And it's how we learn how to live together with each other in community. And I think that's one of the functions or the justifications for religion, is especially as humanity is evolving. That's one of the first things that would need to be done among the population, is to teach people how to live peacefully with each other. And that's the purpose of world religions. So I hope you'll join me for the conclusion of this podcast, Reality and Revelation, in the next episode. Take care.